Hello YouTube, welcome back to the shop. Today we are installing a couple LED bulbs in the Peterbilt. I'm only doing the low beam bulbs. Part of the reason I'm doing this is I lost my high beams on the driver's side. Thought I had bad high beam elements. Turns out I had a wiring harness that got pinched in between the hood for the hinge and the front bumper. I did a replacement on the Mac and the Kenworth, both because they had questionable bulbs and Mac had water in them. So after being very pleased with the performance of those, I bought another set of 4, and I'm going to do the low beams in an 89 Freightliner as well for the neighbor, which is why I bought another set of 4. Now these come off of Amazon. A set of 4 is $40, so $10 a bulb. And they can be used both for high and low beam. And I'll explain that here in just a little bit. These come with an adapter harness, which I like, if you have room. Now on the Kenworth and the Mac, there was not enough room for the wiring back in the housing. So I should have done them before and after. Oh well. You'll get the idea. So what you can do is take a small screwdriver and slip in between the connection and the outside of the plug and actually pull the wire and end out of the plug and move them around. The way these are NGM, green is your ground, red is your high beam, and black is your low beam. The high beam bulbs use this plug and this plug. So straight across from each other you have your high beam and your low beam. Or excuse me. You have your high beam and your ground. But on the low beam bulb with the 3, your high beam is here and your low beam is up here. So when you plug the light in, it does nothing because there's polarity issues as well with the LEDs. If you have a backwards polarity, it either won't work or it'll probably flicker. So we have the bulb here. There's a DOT writing. When that gets installed, that goes up. And then low beam lights the top row, and the center 3 in the middle. High beam lights them all. So with this harness, just plug everything together. And if what I told you is true, this black ends up going over here for ground. Our red is our high beam. That goes to the red wire. So it's a little misleading because you'd think black would go to black, but the yellow actually goes to the black. We'll turn our lights on, make sure we got it wired up right. Oh, I lied. On the low beam, it lights them all up and one in the center. So there's our low beam. And there's our high beam. You can see how much whiter and crisper that is compared to the old halogen. Now, what would be nice is if they had a nice adapter plug that was insulated. I don't want any wires shorting out. So we're just gonna tape this up really well. Then if for some reason I sell this truck or decide to go back to traditional bulbs, nothing's compromised or changed as far as the wiring goes. So we will shove all of this back into here. And kind of coil our wiring in. And I don't know if it makes any difference as far as orientation, but the old halogen bulbs you always put in with the lettering, the proper orientation. We'll remove that film. Now these rings fit pretty good. On the Mac, we didn't want to reach, so I ended up putting longer screws in. These seem to function just fine, or at least they did on the other side. We'll see here when we get done. And I like to start all my screws first. Snug them down somewhat evenly. Make sure they're seated. Make sure the corners of the lights are seated. There's little recesses in the light pocket. I have a set similar to these in my white 95, and I really like them. They shine very nice. And then I pulled out with a tow bar. These are kind of a polycarbonate lens instead of a glass lens. They seem to take abuse and rock chips really well. And I need to clean some shop. Get a little more room to work in here. Everything's kind of jammed in here, but give you a quick show of what the final result looks like. So there's our low, and there's our high. Once we get the windows all washed up, you'll be able to see really well. Traveling to the ethanol plant right now, hauling grain. So it's early morning starts, and it's dark when you leave in the morning, dark when you get home. If anybody's curious about these lights, where to get them, let me know. I can post that in the description. And once again, thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it.